So far, we've talked about taking sample data that are values like 0.25, a dimension, but we take a temperature, 100 degrees, 10,000 centipoi. We could take all kinds of values that we can measure. But what about the items, quality items that we can't measure? Well, we call these attributes. And they are things like, well, let's take for example, if we're producing coffee mugs in mass quantity, what are the possible things that could be wrong with that? Well, we could be missing a handle. We could be missing, I don't know, paint. I guess you'd call it glaze, but missing paint. Maybe it's supposed to have a logo on it, missing logo. Maybe it has crack or chip or, well, that's good. But you could have any number of items that you want to track about your coffee mugs. So if I take a look at the single coffee mug, there could be multiple things wrong with it. So each of those items that's wrong with it, we would call a defect. And another name for that is non-conformities. So we have multiple defects and multiple non-conformities. This is just a softer term if you don't want to use defects in front of your customers. So for example, this one cup, maybe it has a crack up here, and there's a crack on the handle, and you know, we have a chip down here. So that one coffee cup can have two cracks and one chip. Okay. So at the end of 30 days, let's say, or a shift, whatever you want, we get a summary, and maybe we had 100 cracks, I don't know, 40 chips, and you know, you can continue on. Maybe we only had 5 missing logos. So it tells us which item. You know, we have the biggest problem with cracks. Even though we had multiple cracks on one item there, we've got a big problem with cracks. And maybe it, you know, goes all the way back. The root cause of that is the raw material that we mixed up to make this, or maybe it's something in our kiln that when we fired it, that it's a problem. And it's causing these cracks. So we can focus in on that, and we know our efforts will be well spent because that's the #1 item. Why worry as much about the missing logos when the cracks is the biggest issue? The other type is just called defective. And the soft term for that would be non-conforming. So that you're looking for a single reason, not each individual attribute that is wrong with this, or each individual defect. We're looking for a single reason why we're rejecting that. So in this case here, if we had a mug like this, well, we're going to say, hey, we rejected it because of a crack. So at the end of the month, And like I said, shift, week, whatever. We maybe had, 75 cups that were bad because of cracks. And, 10 from chips. And, well, probably 5 from missing logo. So this tells us that the reason we're not getting product out the door, the number one reason why we're not getting a product out the door is these cracks, the problem with the cracks. So it's two different ways of looking at it. We have defects, multiple items per, multiple attributes per item. And we have defective. We're taking the primary reason why we're rejecting that item and tallying up that quality. So we have the difference there of our non-measurable items versus measurable items.